Hi, welcome to Sales 101. This video series is going to be launched in October 2016 and the idea is that I'm going to be doing one every week. So the first one is this week and hopefully should be published on the 7th of October. So the kind of purpose of this series is mainly to kind of give people an introduction to the sales kind of functionality of CRM pretty much, and it's kind of going to approach it in quite a basic way, and not basic in a bad way. It's more kind of, it's not going to go into massive amounts of detail, and it's also not going to go into any technical detail really. It is just kind of introduction of concepts, kind of hopefully gives you a few takeaways to kind of think about, and hopefully will inspire you to kind of approach things maybe differently, better, I don't know, maybe have some kind of positive influence, but it's kind of going to focus on that sales section. So when I say sales in CRM, so at the moment I've just currently got a free trial of Dynamics CRM here, and if you go to the sales section, I'm pretty much just going to cover a lot of the stuff that's here, not the marketing obviously, mainly accounts, contacts, got lead to invoice as well. We're going to look at the product catalogue, and a few other things as well, like connections and their relation to the sales kind of life cycle, I guess. So the first episode, which is this one, is really going to cover kind of some really basic things actually, and those are going to be the accounts, contacts and the product catalogue. Now you're probably thinking those really have nothing that to do with sales that much. I want to kind of get into the leads and invoice process, like the meaty part of the process, when I think the first kind of thing to kind of cover is that the accounts, contacts, product catalogue and a few other things that actually underpin that process. So that's the reason I wanted to start on the accounts, contacts and the product catalogue, and I did say it's going to be basic at the end of the day. It's kind of, it's not assuming a lot of knowledge really. There's not really much prerequisites apart from kind of basic navigation of CRM, I suppose, and I will try and do my best to explain kind of anything that I think might be complex or a little bit more detailed during the course of the video as well. I did kind of have a time frame of 15 minutes hopefully, but I've probably spent about 3 minutes kind of with the introduction, so I'm hoping these aren't too long, and the idea is to then, you know, you can pick and choose out of the ones that are published in the whole series. So, and if they're good, then maybe I'll do customer service and a few other things, like kind of similar things too. So okay, so let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to cover is the accounts. So the accounts, starting with kind of what actually is an account. So I'm just opening an account form now. Accounts are quite flexible. My understanding of them is to kind of, if I'm going to abstract it out, I suppose, if I am, is that it's kind of a group or a collection of people in a named organisation, and that's really vague, and I think the purpose is for it to be vague, because a lot of people call accounts, like organisations, companies, etc, etc. The concept is relatively the same. A lot of it's just terminology difference, and also what you've got to think about is that relationships with each other, because some of the relationship that you can have in CRM is parental. So you can actually have a parent account and you can have child accounts. So if I actually just come out of the accounts here, you'll see on the left hand side you've actually got this little hierarchy symbol on the left hand side, and this is a really good way of showing this functionality. So if I just click it, what will happen now is it will load in that hierarchical sense the parent and the child accounts. So and if I just scroll down here, see if there's any more. So there's one more as well. So you can see here that Adventure Works is that parent. We've got City Power and Light as a child, but it's also a parent to Coho Winery. Winery, yes, I've pronounced that right. My pronunciation isn't always on point. So this is that whole concept of the parental and child. Obviously you can have more where it will go left and right, and you can kind of like click the little arrows to navigate, and you can see the little pop out here. All this can be customised, so you can customise what is kind of displayed on this as well. And in terms of the visual hierarchy functionality, it does quite well from a visualisation standpoint. It was kind of, I think when it was introduced it was a little bit disappointing in terms of, I think people expected more from it, but I think it's about kind of, from a visualisation perspective, I think it's good from showing that parental and child relationship. So if I just go in here and open my account. So let's look at the account. So you can see here that I've landed on the account page and I've got quite a few things in front of me. Now one of the concepts I just wanted to kind of discuss is this whole concept of having a 360 view of the account. So this is a little bit of a misdemeanor, I suppose, if that's the right word. A lot of people have a requirement of going, I want a 360 view of the account. So if I just open Photoshop here and I just show what that looks like. So I've got this person, this is a salesperson. Let's give him some eyes. And what we're actually saying is we want 360 view, which is a circle. However, his eyes can only see that way. So this what makes it a difficult concept to achieve in reality, because he can only see here, whereas this idealism, people want a 360 view. And you might be kind of saying, okay, you're kind of taking this to mean very literal, the literal sense. And I don't think I am, because then what happens is when you say to people, oh, if you want this 360 view, you have to start clicking and interacting with the page. People go, no, that's not a 360 view. And I think what people really are just after, and this goes back to a concept that we're going to be kind of addressing a little bit in these videos, is the difference between a kind of idealism and what's actually achievable in reality. What would you actually do in reality? So this kind of field of vision that our salesperson, who's terribly drawn, can see is just to make sure that you organise what you can see in one place. That's pretty much not this kind of idealistic kind of, I want a 360 view, we're not owls. And it's the similar concept of when you buy something online from an online shop and you think you're going to look like the model. You're not going to look like the model. You're going to look like you with that item on, which may actually not look like what it looks like on the model. And it's a very, very similar concept here. So what that page can look like is this page here. So when you open the account, you essentially see all the kind of main information that you want, and this is where CRM is fantastic, because this can all be customized. You just click form, you drag and drop stuff. It's amazing. I'll probably do another customization video similar to this again if it's any good. And so if you want to figure that kind of stuff out, there's lots of resources online to figure out how to do that. We're not covering that in this video, but the idea is that, so just looking at this page here, it gives me the information, like the normal account information. I can contact them. One of the kind of key things here is that it's a primary contact as well, that you can assign an account. And then you've got their details as well. So Adrian here, I can contact them without having to click the contact as well as a list of other associated contacts. I can see if there's any cases that have been linked to them too, and also any recent opportunities and their address as well. So that is amazing, fantastic. What I can also see is this grid here, so I can see if there's any notes. So what notes are, they allow you to just kind of add some arbitrary notes. And you can also attach items as well. You can limit the attachment types and sizes in the settings area of the CRM, just as an FYI. You've got activities, so just briefly, activities are the literal sense of the word, I suppose. It's when you actually have an action kind of happens on an account, and those actions are captured mainly in the form of a phone call, task, appointment and email. If you are familiar with Outlook, you'll be familiar with those as well. So just as a note, you'll see kind of little things like this, and when we scroll down you'll see kind of field service and project service references. These are purely because my child has these things added to them, so we're not going to be covering anything related to field service or project service in this video. So just ignore those two. So these are the four things here. So a lot of people forget this. You can filter as well these activities, and you've also got this filter here. So if you only want to filter certain ones, you can select them there. And if you want to open the actual activities grid, you can click that too. So bearing in mind, going back to our imaginary 360 view, when you start clicking, it's no longer a 360 view, because the whole concept of that view is people just want all the information available to them, and they forget that they are a human being and they can only digest a certain amount of information at once. So it's kind of nice to just scroll, to kind of consume as a normal human being can. So I'm just going to cover the posts area. Now a lot of people are like, I hate posts, I want to get rid of them. Just understand what they are first. They are very much like a Facebook wall. You can kind of comment on them, going, hi, I like this account, they like cats, and I can post, and that's great. You can have kind of notifications set up when someone posts, and you can have, there's a what's new dashboard, and you can kind of set that up so you can see that. But what actually also happens, you'll see the differentiation between user posts and auto posts. User posts are self-explanatory, they're what a user's done, so me as a user, I've just done that. On auto posts are what the actual system, so actions within the system that actually generate those activity, well not activities, those posts. So essentially those can all be configured. They're kind of configured as standard out of the box, but they can actually be added to and customized. And you do that by going to the stacked menu and going to settings, and this is what these green icons here are for. So you can kind of see and have a look at all the rules, and you can have a look at all the configuration as well. So probably going to cover it in another video, but it's an FYI, this is kind of where they are. So a lot of people think I hate them, I don't want them, and also as an FYI, if you do not use this is like the most helpful thing in the entire world, is the globally most recent used. Use it, because then you can just go straight back into your account and without having to click 50 million different places, because everyone hates that. So it takes up so much time. So you can see here that that's kind of the account. That's the account in a nutshell, just kind of a brief overview of the account. It displays the organisational information. So just scrolling down, again ignoring kind of field service and project service, you've got other detail here as well. So description, some people like to kind of move that up the top if you want. Now contact preferences in marketing is quite important, especially when we cover marketing, perhaps probably in another series. But this is just kind of interesting in regards to the contact method of your account, especially if you are going to be doing some marketing as a business to business perhaps, or if you actually want any kind of information from this record. So that's the account. So the next section is going to look at the contact. So in this section we're going to look at contacts, in a very similar way as we just did to the contacts. So to the account. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at the contacts. So I've just clicked contact from my account. So you can get to contacts in lots of different ways. They're actually available on pretty much all the sections in the CRM, apart from project service. So you've got sales, service and marketing, you can see them all there, and you can go to the view and select them. So what is a contact? A contact is normally a representation of an individual person. Now that could be me, Sarah Critchley, I could be a contact, and a contact then has a relationship with an account. They belong to that account. Now they can only belong to one account, and they can also, so there's two different relationships just to bear in mind. So there's the one-to-many, as in I'm associated to that account, but then from the actual company itself, you've got the one-to-many from the lookup, so you've got the actual primary contact as well. So you've got lots of different, well there's two, there's not lots, but just a lot of people think they're the same, and a lot of kind of people get confused. All it is about association. So what a person is associated to an account as a belonging, as a collection, and then the other section is the other relationship is where a person belongs to that account as a direct kind of contact. Basically that's what those two relationships refer to. So in this section, we're pretty much just going to cover something very simple, the similar thing that we did in the accounts. So again, we've got contact information, so that how we contact that individual. And then we've got a few related subgrids as well. But again, we can see this company here where they are referring to. So this is that association of the many. So you can get lots of people that are associated via AdventureWorks here, and this is a lookup field that gets used for that. And then we've got a few subgrids too. So we've got recent cases and recent opportunities where Adrian has been linked there. So it gives quite a good kind of overview as standard. But if you want some kind of more information, you can see that just below there as well. Similar contact references and marketing detail as the account as well. So the contact also has the same notes, activities and posts as well, so we covered those in the account video, so if you just wanted to cover them again, there's not really much point, just kind of rewind the video I suppose. They're exactly the same, there's nothing different there. So that's pretty much it with the contact. In relation to the account and contact in this sales kind of sense, because that's pretty much what we're talking about here, is the idea is that normally a salesperson talks to an individual, but that individual is then belonging to an organisation, i.e. an account. So this is why it's quite important to kind of understand them, because as a salesperson, what you might do, you may have an opportunity, for example, and you might want to just click into the account every now and again to see what's happening with that account, because you can click into the contact, but other people may be dealing with other people in that organisation that you're selling to. So you can kind of see a lot more kind of what's going on in the organisation sense, and not just focus on the individual you're talking to, because generally speaking it's not normally one person's decision to make the sale, it is a collective decision of the account. So the account is like quite important, and it isn't just something that should be put on the responsibility of the contact. So that's the contact. So we'll cover the product catalogue in the next section. So we got to cover the product catalogue in this final section. So interesting that I said in the first video that I was aiming for 15 minutes, considering I'm at 15 minutes now, or around 15 minutes at least. So that's laughable. That's terrible, Sarah. So what I'm going to do is I actually just want to show you a few things, kind of why the product catalogue is important, just briefly. So I've just opened an opportunity, and if I scroll down, products are important, because what starts happening when you get to an opportunity is you start putting lines on that opportunity, and those lines refer to products. And what you can do by using the product catalogue is you get a huge breadth of functionality available to you. Things like suggestions get made and be available to you, and it gives you the opportunity. So if I'm a salesperson here, I've just scrolling down, I've added my contact, my stuff. I've added my stuff. Nice. So I've added my detail here. I've set my price list, which we will cover in a bit, and I've just added my lines. So what happens is, it's like, hey, do you want to offer? We're suggesting some stuff here. So this product is linked to other products, and it's linked in different capacities. So what happens is it says, actually, if they're interested in the carbon fibre 3D printer, are you sure they don't want this one as well? You might actually be able to get them that. Whether it's an additional one or a replacement, doesn't really matter. Generally cross-sell normally means sell them something different, but I mean, kind of, yeah, I suppose 1200. I mean, I'm not doing maths on the top of my head because I'm awful at it, but generally that means it's more profitable. Accessories are, hey, if they're buying this, they may actually need this as well, like a plug or something. Printing consumables sounds like something you would need. Fan, yeah, and with a printer maybe, especially a 3D one perhaps. And then you've got upsell as well, so maybe that's something that maybe you want to make more profit on, so I suppose that's why you make more profit. Cross-sell is a different requirement. Again, this is all subjective. Try not to get yourself hung up too much on terminology. It's more from a business standpoint and what that actually means to you. And then you've got substitute as well, so perhaps if something isn't in stock, if you are really using it as kind of sideline inventory management, which, you know, I don't know whether I'd recommend or not. Inventory management, it doesn't really cover. You'll need to extend it in some way. Certainly the out of the box doesn't really cover it, but substitute could be that perhaps, I don't know, they've changed their mind or something. So you then can select this stuff and add it to the list. Pick. You can see pick and add to list. So that's amazing. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, one of the things that this doesn't have, unfortunately, is the properties. I probably should have done a little bit more planning. But what also this allows, let's see if I can find one. It doesn't, unfortunately. Is, and I'll go through it. Is a little cross comes up here, and you can add some more detail in there as well. So product catalogue is amazing, and then this gets taken through to the proposal, to the order, to the invoice, and you can actually do some decent reporting on it as well. So let's go into the product catalogue. So you can find the product catalogue in the settings area under product catalogue. and you get presented with a nice screen. So this screen is kind of intimidating to some people because they're kind of like, well, there's a lot of white space and there's only 4 things. Technically, Microsoft could have made this a little bit nicer, but let's not complain. So we've got families and products, price lists, unit groups, and discount lists. Fantastic. What we're going to do is we're just going to go back to Photoshop and actually just have a crash course in the product catalog. So what the product catalog is you've got, and my mouse is skewed, so you've essentially got products. Great. And you've got price lists. And these are really, as if you go into a shop, they are amazing to just think. They are just lists. And this is, maybe the product could be, I don't know, a piece of cake. With cream, obviously. Kind of lame cake done with cream. So our cake needs to go on this price list. How does it do that? Well, it does this by this kind of can be classed as an insect entity, I suppose, like a visible one. But let's not confuse anyone watching. So this could be classed as what this is called price list item. Great. So what happens is this price list item, this price list item references the product, my cake, but it also references the price list. And then you've got items. This specific instance is what will include your money, your cost, because my cake can be more expensive to some people. So say for example, I'm going to offer my mate rates list, my price list, and I'm going to offer my cake for £5, whereas actually I've got my normal recommended retail price list as well, and I want to actually have that for £10. So this is where this concept of different pricing comes in, and this is where your price list actually becomes quite important. So in terms of what price list you use, and on your sales, and depending on your, I don't know, your market, it can depend on loads of different things, which price list you use. And also it might be worth also saying that your price list is also your currency as well. What I'll probably do is I'll probably just do, we're not going to cover currency in this video series. Maybe I could cover it in the later ones if there's requests for it perhaps. Generally speaking, there's a base currency in CRM and you can add multiple currencies, and it does do conversion based on that base currency. But if there's requests, we can go into that in a bit more detail. It is a little bit more detailed. I wouldn't really class it as sales 101, maybe like sales 50, like 150, I don't know. It's request it and I'll do it. I'm cool with that. So that's pretty much how products exist on price lists. So let's just kind of take this even further back here. So I can't remember which version it was actually. I think it was 2015 or 2015 update 1. I think it was one of those, perhaps, maybe even been earlier than that, but that's kind of arbitrary. It doesn't really matter to the viewer. So they introduced what's called a family. So it's kind of it allows you to essentially let's say cakes, master cakes, and it's classed as a grouping. So again, the product ID, I've never really come across an organisation that utilises a product ID in a really serious way, but some of them do. So you've got valid to and valid from. Just as an FYI, there's no out of the box like kind of checking out functionality here. It doesn't kind of check that functionality in any way. So let's just go and find that. That was kind of cakes, wasn't it? I call that cakes. And you can't find it, Sarah. Did I call it cakes? Maybe I didn't call it cakes. Did I call it master? I called it masters. I was supposed to call it master cakes. Nice. Nice one, Sarah. But that's no problem because I can change the name. It doesn't matter. So what I've done is I've made my family, and what this does is, and also what you can do, by the way, is, so I've made the master cakes, and we will go in and make another family in a moment, but what it allows you to do is actually add properties to a product. and this is a very similar programming concept. So essentially it allows you to, so let's say my cake, it will have a filling perhaps, it will have a colour, it will have a consistency, and you can add all these as properties. So let's go ahead and just add a couple. Let's say colour. And you've got lots of different things, kind of controls on this property as well. So you've got, is it read only, is it required, is it hidden? So if you can remember back in the opportunity, and then I was kind of like whinging about that it didn't have the little pop-up on the opportunity that I randomly selected and didn't plan, even though I knew I was going to be doing this video. These are the properties that we will be talking through, and I'll be showing you in an actual kind of real run through as well. So we've got our colour here, and if it's required or not, and also if it's hidden or not as well. So we've got then an option for data types. So you've only got a few different data types, but they are the core data types. So don't stress, we've got a single line of text, and perhaps we just want to put a default value in here of, I like normal, kind of colour would be beige, and you can put controls for maximum length as well. So we've got colour, and then we've got, let's do another one, and let's do an option this time. So we've got filling option set, and what you just need to save this for option sets, so that's just something that you do need to remember. And we've got buttercream because that is clearly the best, and we got to add another one, chocolate, for you chocolate people. I'm not a chocolate person, I don't like chocolate that much. And then we've got vanilla. Let's get a little bit specific. So what this is doing, best practice would be to kind of put this in. And I should learn how to spell right. And then we've done. So that's our properties. Fantastic. So when people use that product, they now have to complete those properties of that product. So what we will then do is we are going to, let's go back. And we want to add our product. So that's our cake family. Remember, that's our grouping, cake. And we've got cake ID. So the next thing that I'm just going to very briefly cover is units. So let's just take a break and go to Photoshop so I can draw units. So we've got our cake, and our unit could be one cake. So that's one cake. Whereas as a cake production company, I may only actually sell that in maybe packs of 3 cakes. Oh no, done this wrong. And another piece. So what will happen is our primary unit will be cake, and it will sell it is in 3 instances of our primary unit, and that name would be, I don't know, group of cakes. I think like the actual exam material kind of goes into a little bit less of a descriptive example from cakes, like it's not really an exciting one, it's palettes. So palettes normally do come in specific kind of sizes or whatever, so you've got a palette and then you can get 12 palettes. So this may mean absolutely nothing to you. So let's have a look at making one. So let's say we want our cake, and is this going to actually, this is probably not a good idea, so let's just go back to our product catalogue, go to unit groups, which is just a collection. Let's make a new unit group called cakes. So what that will have done, we've got units here, and we've got cakes. We've made our unit group of cakes, which is just a collective terminology that this is a product that we sell and this is cakes. It's just a grouping basically, and it's actually made our default one as standard called cake. So we want to add a new unit. So let's say our three pack of cakes, which is the example. We want 3, and our base unit is going to be cake. So our cake unit is the singular. We want a 3 pack of cake, and we want 3 of those. Fab. Let's make another one. Let's make a 6 pack. A 6 pack of cakes. Now that will be 2. Oh no. That'll be 2 because we're actually going to use our 3 pack of cake. Does that now make sense? So 2 3 packs of cakes is our 6 pack of cakes. And this is where then it's just a quantity measure. It's a way of managing quantity in your products. It's as simple as that. Nothing too complex. I think that when you start actually making them, it does actually make a lot of sense. The actual kind of theory and conceptualization of it actually makes it seem a lot more complex than it is. So let's go back to where we was. So we was adding our cake product. So we're going to add our product ID again. I'm not that stressed about the product ID. Some companies may be. Valid from and to. Now this is the key one, which is parent. Now we want to use our parent family here, and that is because we want to be able to bring our product properties through. So we're going to be using our unit group of cakes. Our default unit is our normal cake. Let's just say we want to support two decimals. So we're going to save this. So can you see the product properties are coming through from our families? So by the way, you cannot use product properties on singular products. You have to use families. So this is why it comes through. You'll notice that I can't actually add other ones here. You'll see that this is brought through from the families. And the same kind of concept will appear in terms of if I have a child in that master cakes and I had another property of perhaps consistency, what will happen, and when I make another product, if I pull in the master cakes, it will bring in the consistency property as well, because it's bringing in everything from the family hierarchy. However, if I was to use the child cakes, which is a child to the master cake family, it will only bring in the property that I have on that, which would be consistency and not colour or filling. So that's the concept to remember there, in terms of that it is very hierarchical from that sense as well, and it's very important to remember that. So you can see here that this has been brought in here, and you can see here that what I can do, and per product I can do what's called an override, and I can say yes, I definitely want to override that, and perhaps I want to change the beige colour to chocolate. And save that there. So I hope that that makes sense from that side of things. So what we're going to go back to is we're going to go back to our product of cake. And can you see here now the overriding action that I took on that? You can see a red line on the little icon has happened, and that's because I'm overriding the colour, but I'm not overriding the filling, and the filling has not got that. So we've got the other things that we're going to cover then. So we've got our product. So if we go back to our Photoshop here, we've got our product. We've not got our price list yet, and that means we can't have our price list item. So let's go down and let's make our price list. So I'm actually going to do this in a little bit of it is the easier way. Again, this is personal preference for CRM. I like to, you can kind of stack windows, so I'm selecting this price list, so I'm actually trying to make the price list item here before I've made the price list, and that's perfectly fine to do as well. Generally speaking, once you've made your price list, you're only going to make it once, so it's completely up to you and personal preference. If you want to make all your products, all your price lists, and then do your price list items, you can do that if you want. So I'm going to make this as my RRP for cakes. Start date, end date, I'm not that fussed about that at the moment. I'm going to save. Now we're not going to cover anything regarding roll prices or anything random that you're seeing in these screens, because these are all kind of linked to other kind of add-ons in CRM, and we're not going to cover those because you may not have them and it'll be pointless. So let's do add. We've got product, we've got unit. Now this is this amount now, so let's go back. We've got our price list, we've got our product. I'm working out how much I want to sell my cake for on this as this item. So I'm going to sell this for £10. This is my RRP one after all. Brilliant. Now, one of the things I just didn't cover there, which is quantity selling options. So what you can actually do is you can actually kind of cover how you actually want to sell this in a quantity manner. So you've got whole and fractional as well. So you've also got, it will just be it's also really important to link to these as well. So we've got percentage of list. So this is the markup in terms of how this is costed for you. So I'm not going to go into that much detail about this because this is going into the complexities of the price list item and how you want to charge for it, and if you want to percentagize it, and I think that adds an extra layer of complexity to the product catalogue, and I think it's very intimidating for people who have only just kind of encountered the product catalogue, or if you're a new starter. So if you just want the currency amount, if you just want the symbol costing, just stick with currency amount and stick with your amount for the time being. We'll cover this in like I said, sales 150 or something. We'll cover all this kind of detail in a lot more depth in another video. So we've got price list item, we've got our price list item, we're cool with that, and now we've got our price list item. So I'm going to go ahead and try and publish, and what it's going to do is it's going to whinge at me because the cake master family is also not published. Everything's all in the draft stage at the moment. So this is something to also be kind of comforted with, is that you can actually all edit the products and everything. They've got a really kind of good life cycle in regards to that they do need to be published before you can actually do anything with them and use them in a live environment. So I'm going to go ahead and click master cakes. Now I'm going to go ahead and publish hierarchy. Fantastic. And I'm going to just knit back using my globally most recent used. And can you see now that this has actually now all been published because I chose to publish everything, and you can pretty much use this in your sales item, and that's pretty much that's products in a nutshell. The units, unit groups, price list items, and products, and also those the overriding functionality and that information as well. The other thing that will be good. Okay, so we've covered kind of the basics with the product catalogue. So the final part to cover with the products is those suggestions, and that's done using product relationships. So I'm on my product here, and I'm just going to select the plus icon, and we've got the cake. We want to select the related products, which we're going to select light bulbs because that's completely related to cake, and then we're going to select whether it's an upsell, cross-sell, accessory, and so on. So let's just say accessory, and then it will give you the option of if it's unidirectional or bidirectional. So bidirectional is if it works both ways. So if you go to light bulbs, it would actually recommend cake as the accessory as well. And unidirectional will only be that light bulbs are recommended when you're actually on the cake and not the other way around. So it will not recommend cake once you're on light bulbs. So I'm going to go ahead and save that, and that's pretty much our products set up and the product price lists, and the pretty much that the salesperson can go ahead and start selling some cakes. So let's just go to the opportunity and we'll take a look at that in action. Okay, so we're just going to run through kind of the using the product that we just made in an opportunity. So this isn't the actual coverage of that whole leads to sales or the lead to invoice process. This is merely just to show you the product catalog in action. So I've literally just set up an opportunity. I've just put a name in, nothing else at the moment, and the account and currency is default anyway, so I suppose that was a lie. I've put the account in as well. Nothing else really, that's all I've done. So I'm going to scroll down here and actually select our cake price list. This is system calculated, so I've changed this to system calculated, and I'm going to select the existing product. So I'm going to scroll down here, and you can see that I've actually got two on my list. I've actually got my light bulbs and my cake. So I'm going to select cake, and you can see here this is what I was kind of ranting at myself about in regards to the properties. So I've got my little tick here, and if I click edit, can you see that I've now got filling and colour, and the default was being populated as chocolate, and I can select on my option set, I can select buttercream and click done, and that's it. However, it was green because I never set any of those products as being that product properties as being required, and that's really important. If you set them as being required, then that will be as a red cross. And now we've also got, when we hover over it, we've got our suggestions, which I'm having trouble clicking, which isn't a great demonstration. Let me just refresh the page. I blame my mouse. My mouse was the problem there. Never normally have a problem with that. So I've just clicked suggestions. Can you see how easy it works now? So I've not got anything in a cross-sell, upsell or substitute, but I have got my light bulbs, and I can select this here, and I could add this to list if I wanted to. So it is quite a cool thing in terms of that it actually kind of is suggestive to you. It actually shows you nothing kind of no fancy machine learning or anything like that at the moment. We've just got kind of just all pure suggestions set up so that you can kind of manually control that as well. So that's pretty much the product catalog basics. That's pretty much the end of this this episode, I suppose would be the correct term to call it. And yeah, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed it. So it's been quite light, and it's been light on purpose. The kind of next videos may go into more detail, a little bit more on the product catalog, but the thing is there's no point going into more detail if we didn't go through the basics. So it is very likely that we'll kind of cover a few more things in the product catalog, but more in the context of the actual lead to invoice process, and anything else that kind of hits on the product catalog. But we just to summarise, so we've covered kind of the account and contact, like what they are in the system. We've covered the product catalog, which includes unit groups, units, families, so product families, product properties as well, and their linkage to families, and how the actual products kind of live on separate price lists. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy the series.